Hey, Shalom Akim, how about Shem, Yahweh Shem, Conquerdash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Grim Storm Bells, by National DC Camp. Short lesson to edify the hopeful elect. Yeah, this this so-called viral pandemic, man. Yeah, it's gonna cause a chain reaction because people are also gonna go on strike. You see on the screen, the landlords say halting evictions during this situation that we're experiencing is bad for his business. He's gonna go in a hole. So I just played the video real quick and I get some precepts.
Owners in Dallas say the Dallas County judge's order halting evictions for people out onto the streets. JD Miles joins us live now from Dallas to explain why certain folks are feeling that way. JD?
Yeah, you just gotta put to delay or eviction, So it's gonna get messed up, man. Folks need that money. The the business owners. That's why in Babylon, what investment is secure? Nothing, man. Real estate, stock markets, you make a little bit here and there, but at the end of the day, it's not really secure. So you just let you know that American system of economics, I'm starting of economics, is not feasible. And that's why the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is angry with this place on a daily basis, and he has to burn it down because it's all corrupted. All right, so just imagine, man. You have rental properties. Your renters, they can't pay because they're out of a job, and you can't really evict them. So what can you do? Pray the Lord Yahweh Shemashah that it makes a way for you, and the bank doesn't come breathing down your neck, holding you, with all types of late fees and other fees and all that stuff. Yeah, because there's so much money tied up in real estate, because businesses are going under. All right, look at the malls. You have empty spaces around. People are having their hours reduced. They're getting kicked off the payroll. So what do you expect is going to happen? All right, so homelessness is going to increase. There's going to be overcrowding in in small spaces. People are going to start sleeping in their cars, just like you see folks, on the West Coast, sleeping in their vans and sleeping in their vehicles. All they can do is afford to have a job, but they can't afford to have a place to sleep in. They can't afford to have a roof over their head. And that's why the Lord Yahweh Shemashah has to come back and set things in order. All right. So let me get a quick precept. It's going to be from the book of Sirach. All right. The book of Sirach, chapter 29. All right. So Sirach, chapter 29. You have the basics of life. Well, Sirach 29, verses 21. It says, the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and an house to cover shame. All right, so just imagine, why people have a difficulty, in Babylon is because there's so much pressure on the poor, to try to live up to an expectation that is hard, because the laws in the book only benefits the rich, benefits the rich because they're the one that dictates what's in the tax code, all right? And people have to, be eloquent and smart and cunning enough to understand what the tax code is about, what the laws on the books are about, so they're able to take advantage of it. But it doesn't really work that way. Just because they can take advantage of it doesn't mean they're going to be allowed to move up, because the big boys, always going to change the rules when they see more people catching up to the loopholes of the laws on the books. All right. So the book of Sirach, chapter 29, verse 21 says, the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and then house to cover shame. So all these basic necessities, shouldn't take them lightly. And when you have a society, societal structure, a governing structure of Esau's that puts things like this, resources that are needed for life, it puts them, uh, in a puts them in a bad position, put things out of order, and you have people gonna start getting messed up. Gonna start getting messed up because of Esau's rulership. His governing structure is messed up, and folks are not able to be stable.
Ken, preventing evictions during such a volatile time is certainly welcome news to those who can't afford to pay their rent. But if that happens, landlords wonder how they will be able to pay their mortgage, insurance, and taxes on the property. Clint Cash is a 43-year-old who makes a living renting a handful of homes, including some in Dallas County.
I'm here just to rent and give them a great place to stay.
Cash says he and others who lease homes were blindsided by the announcement from Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins that evictions would be halted for 60 days.
To suspend all evictions of any type and all writs of possession for at least the next 60 days to prevent renters from being displaced and to prevent the potential spread of COVID-19.
Cash says he never wants to evict anyone.
It's not just these small-time landlords. It's going to be those ones that have all these big properties, like big cities, one with like 10 stories, 12 stories, 25 stories, all those high-rise apartment buildings. They're going to be concerned about this situation too when people cannot pay. All right, it's not just the poor people of Jake. It's going to be these Edomites too, and the heathen. All right, so it's going to be hard. For them to make bank because they got to depend on the government to give them some of that stimulus money. So that's how messed up Esau is, man. Use one situation to create a problem so he could further his agenda. Give all these so-called businesses a little crumbs, and the big boys, get all the lion's share. They get the bulk of it. So, $1,200, how much is that going to do? It's not really going to help the people, So, that's why it's important to have your own stuff. If you have land, you build on it, you're able to plant what you need to plant. But at the end of the day, man, Esau's so-called Agenda 21 stuff, encroaching on your so-called liberties to live a decent life. All right, so that's why the Lord Yabashim Ashai is preparing, to take Esau out of rulership, so there can be righteousness on the earth. All right, because the earth is not really yielding what it needs to yield. Okay, the animals are not really, in a good, proper state of mind. Neither are the people. Even the land, the atmosphere, it's all a mess, and it's because of Esau. Okay, and I'll play this video some more.
I've had to do it. I don't like to, and it's not that often.
But he says he and others who lease property could face foreclosures if they don't get rent money needed to pay taxes, insurance, and mortgages on the properties they own.
As a landlord, I rely on payments to come in from those tenants. They pay me. I then pay a mortgage or another investor. There's so many things. You have taxes, you have insurance. It must be paid.
Tenants, he says, would be better off communicating potential problems making rent payments to their landlords. Otherwise, both could be in trouble.
So it's twofold now. Landlord loses the property and the tenant loses the property.
So who wins? The banks. The banks and the government. And that's what it all boils down to. It's all one big old scam. It just becomes clearer and clearer. Yep, the banks, the banks take their house. The government says it's their house. If they can't pay its property tax and all that stuff. They put a lien on it, and the banks take over when it defaults. So just imagine, he still got to pay the taxes he owes. All right. So it's a messed up situation. Okay. And now I get another precept. It's gonna be from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 22 and 27. It says, if thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? Yeah, so that's what happens in Esau, man. Esau's rulership, in Esau's kingdom, man. Eviction, eviction, eviction. Even right now, I have people moving out. As you can look at them across my neighborhood, they're moving on, man. They have to move. So that's one thing you have to understand in Babylon. Nothing is permanent. 1 minute your investments are looking good, the next day, or something else comes into the picture. But that's why we have to look forward to the kingdom of the heaven, of the kingdom of heaven. All right, that we don't have to worry about all this unnecessary fees and transactions and intimidation and oppression. All right. That's why Lord Abashim Shai has set his words before us to prepare ourselves. And if you look at the book of Genesis chapter 13 verse 2, it talks about Abraham. It says, and Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and gold. All right, and those are things that you that you need, on a carnal level, to have a income. You could sell the cattle's dung. You could sell, some, part of their horn, for certain things. Use them to clear land. You get milk, you get cheese, you get meat, and your silver, and the silver that you also get from the land and all that stuff, you could use for so many things, even gold. All right, and Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And that's what it boils down to. We gotta have ownership. Ownership is very important. Own your own land. But Esau doesn't really allow that, for you to own your own stuff outright. With your so-called allodial title, they still gotta charge you taxes on the land. And the end of this journey is always in sight. So just pray the Lord that by Shema Shai gets you through it. So don't put your trust in Esau's system, man. Just put your trust in the Lord that by Shema Shai. Another precept I'd like to show you is this one right here for the rent strike. I'm gonna play this real quick.
It is common sense now that all of our health depends on one another. On how we act and what we do, we need each other. On April 1st, when we work and we're still expected to pay our rent or mortgage, we will need each other even more. Right now, 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 58% can't weather a $500 unexpected expense. And 20%, or about 31 million workers, are already experiencing reduced hours.
Yeah, so even those so-called real estate management companies, those property management companies, they have difficulties too, because they got to pay the maintenance engineer, they got to pay the landscaping guy, they got to pay the leasing agent, they got to pay the folks at the front office and all that stuff. So it's a snowball effect. So that lets you know that the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is not really pleased with Esau's economic model, and that's why he has to uproot it. This is not a righteous way of living. You see the uncertainty. You see all the Federal Reserve notes. Once upon a time, you have a dollar, something, a silver certificate. You could take and redeem it for silver, and also silver and all that stuff. But that's not the case anymore. So you see all that, say 20% already out. reduced hours, all right, or unemployed, 58 can't weather, or $500 unexpected expense, 78% live paycheck to paycheck. So that's why the Lord Yabashima Shai lets us know in the book of Baruch that we're subject to payment. All right, we're subject to payment. You gotta pay, day in day out for rent and all that stuff. And when you don't have enough to pay, you're behind. So you got to catch up, and that's why folks are working, multiple jobs just to keep up.
Or unemployment as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Many are now out of work or having severely reduced hours. You may be one of them. So what do you do now?
Even if everyone receives a check from the government, millions will still be forced to choose between groceries and rent. We refuse to put our families, friends, neighbors, and communities in that position.
Yeah, and you see these people getting together. I mean, it's going to be a risk, man. You imagine talking about social distancing. All these people get together in one room and make people sandwiches. Well, you know how it is, man. You gotta eat it with faith. As long as it's not unclean food, you gotta eat it. Yeah, so it's tough, man. In these last days, man. Pray, Lord, about Shema Shai strengthens your constitution, your mind, to be able to bear this storm.
In order to contain the virus, we are all staying home as much as possible. It is not worth the risk to our collective well-being to allow anyone to go uninsured.
As lockdowns and layoffs sweep the country, leaving millions at risk, mutual aid groups are forming to protect and provide for the vulnerable, including the elderly, incarcerated, undocumented, and unhoused. Their aim, solidarity, not charity.
We can work together to prevent eviction and foreclosure. We can keep each other housed and fed. We must demand an immediate suspension of rent and mortgage payments for everyone. And if this demand is not met, we must refuse to pay our rents and our mortgages together. Talk to your neighbors and ask them to join. Write a letter to your landlord explaining that you can't pay your rent. Write a letter to your bank explaining that you can't pay your mortgage. Participation in the strike is crucial. In order to support the most vulnerable people, we all have to participate.
Yeah, so that's people, they're organizing themselves for a revolution. Yeah, so this is going to drive shivers up the spine of the elite. They have to come up with something else, stronger than this corona. So I expect something else. I'm expecting something else to come, down the pike. So you see rent strike and all that, April 1st. That's about 2 weeks from the deadline to file for your taxes. So end of the day, man, the banks, the investment banks, the government are the ones basically enjoying the ride because they're working hand in hand. That's what they call fascism. All right, so the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, is going to let this place burn down. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 13, verse 44. Just another precept to keep Akim aware that, you need to have a ruling class mentality. Should always strive for independence. Even though you don't have the means, but should always strive towards it on a daily basis. So this is book of Matthew chapter 13, verse 44. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he had, and buyeth that field. All right, so that's the risk. When you understand the investment, the value of the investment, you're able to go to the end of the earth just to have it. And that's what this word of the Lord about Shema Ashai, does to your mind. It lets you realize the value of the kingdom, okay, and the value, of what you currently have, what you have to give up in order to attain the kingdom of heaven. That's what you also have to understand in the world. You have to make a sacrifice for you to get yourself a little cushion, But at the end of the day, that cushion is not really guaranteed. But for the time being, you can always use that cushion to do something else, to create more cushions. You just got to apply the wisdom of the scriptures. All right?
No one pays, everyone can stay safely in their homes. For this to work, we all have to participate. We must act together for each other. On April 1st, we will not pay. Hang up wage to indicate your support. Post a pic with #RentStrikeMe.
So when I see a picture of this is my neighborhood, or any neighborhood here in the DMV, I'm going to take a picture of it and see how things are going to be, because it just proves to see that the government and the corporations, at the end of the day, they're the ones that have the power. That there's people there that just working in zombie land, and that's going to create some contention. So that's the point that I can pray, Lord, that by Shema Shai creates a little buffer for you to be able to withstand the pressure that's coming upon this society, and that you don't get crushed. All right? Shalom, Akim.